I was sorting through Tommy's school papers when I heard the front door open. My 8-year-old grandson walked in, dropping his backpack by the stairs like he always did. But instead of running to the kitchen for his usual after-school snack, he stood in the doorway of the living room, watching me. "Grandma," he said quietly, "can I talk to you about something?" I set down the stack of worksheets. "Of course, sweetheart. Come sit with me." He climbed onto the couch, but he didn't curl up against me like usual. He sat at the edge, picking at a loose thread on his shorts. "I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings," he started, which immediately made my chest tighten. "You won't hurt anyone's feelings, Tommy. What's on your mind?" He took a breath. "Do I have to keep taking the afternoon vitamins that Rachel gives me?" My hands went still. "What vitamins, honey?" "The ones she gives me every day at 2 o'clock. She says they're to help me grow strong. But—" He looked up at me with those big brown eyes. "They make me really sleepy, and sometimes my tummy feels funny." The papers slipped from my lap onto the floor, but I didn't move to pick them up. I kept my voice steady, even though my heart was hammering. "Show me these vitamins, Tommy. Can you get them for me?" He hopped off the couch and ran upstairs. I heard him rummaging in his room. When he came back down, he was holding a small amber prescription bottle. No label, no pharmacy sticker, nothing. My mouth went dry. "She keeps them in her purse," Tommy explained, "but she told me I could keep some in my room in case I forget. She's really nice about it, Grandma. I just don't like how they make me feel." I took the bottle with trembling fingers. Inside were small
And
white
that's when I
pills,
realized
round and
this wasn't
unmarked.
just a story
"How
I
long
needed
has Rachel
to tell.
been giving you these,
It was a
sweetheart?"
moment that
She
changed
shrugged.
everything
"Since
for
she
me.
started watching me? Maybe 3 weeks?" 3 weeks. Rachel had been our babysitter for exactly 3 weeks. Let me back up. I should explain how we got here. My daughter Lisa is a contract engineer for a defense company. 6 weeks ago, she got assigned to a project in Germany. 6 months, non-negotiable. Incredible opportunity for her career. Her husband Marcus works from home as a software consultant, but his schedule is unpredictable. Conference calls at odd hours, deadline crunches, the whole startup culture chaos. Lisa asked if I could come stay with them, help manage Tommy's routine while she was gone. Of course I said yes. I'd just retired from teaching, I had the time, and I missed my grandson. Marcus seemed grateful for the help. "Eleanor, you're a lifesaver," he'd said when I arrived, giving me a quick hug. Lisa was so worried about leaving Tommy, but knowing you're here makes all the difference. For the first 2 weeks, it was just the 3 of us. I'd get Tommy ready for school. Marcus would work in his office upstairs. I'd pick Tommy up at 3, help with homework, make dinner. Marcus would emerge around 6, eat with us, then disappear back upstairs for evening calls. Weekends, he was a devoted dad. Park visits, movie nights, the works. But then Marcus sat me down one evening after Tommy went to bed. "Eleanor, I hate to ask, but I'm drowning in this new project. Would you be opposed to us hiring someone to help during the afternoon? Just a few hours? Someone to be here when you need to run errands or want some time to yourself? I'd pay for it, of course." It seemed reasonable. I was 63, and while I wasn't decrepit, the full-time childcare was more tiring than I'd expected. "That would be helpful," I'd agreed. He'd already had someone in mind, Rachel Foster, a 24-year-old graduate student at the local university. Education major, worked as a teacher's aide, impeccable references. When she came for the interview, she was perfect. Bright smile, asked Tommy about his interests, showed me her background check and CPR certification. "I absolutely love kids," she'd gushed. "And I'm so flexible with my schedule. I can be here whenever you need." We hired her on the spot. Rachel started coming 3 afternoons a week, from 1 to 5. She'd arrive with her backpack full of educational games and craft supplies. Tommy adored her. She had endless energy, playing soccer in the backyard, helping with his science fair project, teaching him card tricks. I'd use that time to grocery shop, meet my book club, video call with Lisa. It felt like a perfect arrangement. But now, standing in my daughter's living room, holding an unlabeled bottle of pills that my grandson had been taking for weeks, nothing felt perfect. I forced my voice to stay calm. "Tommy, have you told your dad about these vitamins?" He nodded. "Rachel said Dad knows all about them. She said he wanted to make sure I stayed healthy while Mom was away." Ice flooded through my veins. "Okay, sweetheart, Here's what we're going to do. You don't have to take these anymore, all right? Not even if Rachel asks. You tell her grandma said no more vitamins unless they come from the doctor. Can you do that for me? Okay. He looked relieved. Can I go play my game now? Sure, honey. As soon as he thundered up the stairs, I grabbed my phone and called my neighbor Patricia. She'd been a pharmacist for 40 years before retiring. Patricia, I need a favor. Can I come over right now? It's urgent. 10 minutes later, I was sitting in her kitchen while she examined the pills under her reading light. She frowned, pulled out her phone, did some searching. Then she looked at me, and her expression made my blood run cold. Eleanor, these aren't vitamins. These are diphenhydramine, heavy dose, basically strong antihistamines. What do? Make you drowsy. Very drowsy. One of these would knock a kid Tommy's size out for hours. She set the pill down like it was contaminated. Where did you say he got these? I told her everything. About Rachel, about the 3 weeks of daily doses, about how Tommy said his father knew. Patricia's lips pressed into a thin line. Eleanor, I don't want to alarm you, but this is serious. Why would someone be drugging your grandson? You need to figure out what's going on before you confront anyone. She was right. I thanked her, took the bottle, and drove home with my mind racing. Marcus's car was in the driveway. The house was quiet when I walked in. Tommy was in his room. Marcus's office door was closed upstairs. I could hear his voice, muffled, probably on a call. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the bottle in my hand. Why would Marcus approve Rachel giving Tommy sedatives? It made no sense. Unless
Welcome back, everyone.
My daughter's iPad
Today,
was charging on the
share
counter.
A story about
She'd
a
left it
moment
for
that
Tommy to use for his
completely
educational
changed my
apps,
perspective.
but she'd signed in with her iCloud account, which meant it synced with Marcus's devices. I hadn't snooped in 40 years of marriage to my late husband. I'd taught my students about trust and privacy. But standing there, holding pills that had been secretly given to my grandson, I unlocked that iPad. I went straight to messages, scrolled to Marcus's conversations. There were the usual threads. Work colleagues, his brother, the neighborhood group chat, and then Rachel F. My finger hovered over it. Then I tapped. The messages loaded. I started scrolling from the beginning, 3 weeks ago, right when we'd hired her. Marcus, she bought it completely. Eleanor thinks you're just a college student looking for extra cash. Rachel, your mother-in-law is sweet. Almost feel bad. Almost. Marcus, when can you start? Rachel, I've been starting for 3 weeks now, babe. You mean when can we stop being careful? Marcus, soon. Just need to make sure Tommy stays occupied. The kid has terrible timing. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped the iPad. Rachel, gave T the usual at 2 p.m. today. He was out cold by 2:45. Gave us almost 2 hours. Marcus, perfect. Eleanor was at her book club. God, I've missed you. Rachel, Wednesday I can come earlier. Think you can get Eleanor out of the house for the morning? Marcus, I'll tell her I need her to pick up my prescription across town. That pharmacy is always slow. I had to sit down. The kitchen chair scraped against the floor, too loud in the silent house. I kept reading. Marcus, Lisa's contract got extended. 6 more months. Rachel, seriously? That's amazing for us. Marcus, I know. More time before I have to deal with everything. Rachel, you're still going to tell her, right? When she gets back? Marcus, of course. Just need to time it right. The project bonus comes through in November. Rachel, I love you. Marcus, love you too. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m.? Rachel, can't wait. I'll bring the good stuff from Tommy's bottles. The kid sleeps like the dead on those. I actually felt bile rise in my throat. I set the iPad down carefully, precisely, because if I wasn't careful, I was going to throw it across the room. My son-in-law was having an affair with our babysitter. He'd hired her and manipulated me into agreeing so they could have time together in my daughter's house. And they'd been drugging my grandson to keep him out of the way. I sat there for a long time, just breathing. Upstairs, I could still hear Marcus on his call, laughing about something. Tommy's video game music played faintly from his room. Outside, someone was mowing their lawn. Everything was so horrifyingly normal. I thought about calling Lisa immediately. But what was I going to say? Hey honey, I know you're managing a multi-million-dollar project in Germany, but your husband is cheating on you with the babysitter and they've been sedating your son? She couldn't do anything from overseas anyway, and it would destroy her. I thought about confronting Marcus right then, but I had no actual proof beyond text messages on an iPad I'd accessed without permission. A good lawyer could argue anything. No, I needed to be smart about this. I took photos of every single message, every single one, going back 3 weeks. The casual planning, the complaints about me being in the way, the discussions about Tommy's medication schedule, Rachel's jokes about earning her pay in more ways than one. Then I went upstairs to Tommy's room. Hey, sweetheart, quick question. When does Rachel usually come on her babysitting days? Tomorrow, he said cheerfully, not looking up from his game. 1 o'clock, like always. And does she usually spend time with you? Or does she sometimes talk to your dad? He shrugged. Sometimes Dad comes down from his office and they talk in the kitchen. She brings him coffee. He says she makes it better than anyone. He glanced at me. No offense, Grandma. None taken, baby. Back downstairs, I checked the calendar on the fridge. Tomorrow was Wednesday. According to the message thread, Rachel was planning to come earlier tomorrow, and Marcus was supposed to get me out of the house. Right on cue, Marcus came down the stairs. Hey, Eleanor. Busy day tomorrow for me. Back-to-back calls. Would you mind doing me a huge favor? I turned, arranging my face into a pleasant grandmother smile. Of course. What do you need? I need to pick up a prescription refill, but the pharmacy across town called and said they're having trouble with my insurance. Could you run over there and sort it out? They said it might take a while. But you know how these things are. The pharmacy across town? Exactly like he'd texted Rachel. Sure, I said. What time? Maybe around 10? That way you're back by noon, and Rachel can cover the afternoon if my calls run long. Sounds perfect. He smiled, and it was such a normal smile, such a dad smile, that for a second I couldn't reconcile this man with the one texting his mistress about drugging his son. That night, after Tommy was in bed and Marcus had gone back upstairs, I sat in the guest room and made a plan. I called my neighbor Patricia again. I need another favor. A big one. The next morning, I played the perfect mother-in-law. Made Marcus his coffee, got Tommy ready for school,
I never
waved
imagined
cheerfully
it would
when
be
Marcus
possible,
reminded me
but
about the
looking
pharmacy
back now,
run.
it all
I'll
feels
leave around
so
10,
clear and meant
I confirmed.
to be. I am
At
so
9:45, I pulled out of the driveway. I drove 2 blocks, parked on a side street, and walked back through the neighbor's yard. Patricia was waiting by her back fence. I still think you should just call the police, she whispered. I need proof, I whispered back. Real proof. Help me over. I'm 63. But I used to do yoga. I made it over that fence with only minor dignity loss. Patricia had given me the spare key to her garden shed, which backed up to our yard. From there, I could see straight into Lisa's kitchen window. At 9:52, Marcus came downstairs. He checked his phone, looked out the front window, probably confirming I was gone, and smiled to himself. At 10:03, there was a knock at the back door. Rachel. She wasn't supposed to be there until 1. Marcus let her in, and they immediately kissed. Not a friendly peck. A kiss that made me want to break through that window. They moved to the kitchen. Rachel pulled something from her purse, the pill bottle, and set it on the counter. Won't need this anymore today, I could read her lips saying. Tommy's at school. They laughed about something. Then they headed upstairs. I waited exactly 10 minutes. Then I used my key, my daughter's house. I had every right, and let myself in through the front door. I moved quietly, took pictures of the pill bottle on the kitchen counter, still sitting exactly where Rachel had left it, photographed the text message thread one more time on the iPad, making sure timestamps were visible. Then, I went to Tommy's room and did what Patricia had helped me set up the night before. A nanny cam, hidden in the bookshelf, with a clear view of the door and the bed. I'd bought it that morning, and Patricia had helped me set it up on her Wi-Fi network so the feed wouldn't show on our home network. The audio coming from Marcus's bedroom made me feel sick. I didn't go near that room. Instead, I went back outside, returned to Patricia's shed, and texted Marcus from my car 2 blocks away. Pharmacy is taking forever. Might be another hour. Sorry. His response came quickly. No problem. Take your time. I bet he was thrilled. I drove to the actual pharmacy, went inside, bought some random vitamins, and sat in my car for an hour. When I came home at noon, Rachel's car was gone. Marcus was back in his office, on a call, perfectly normal. "How'd it go?" he asked when he came down for lunch. "All sorted out," I said. That afternoon, when I picked Tommy up from school, I asked him casually, "Has Rachel ever given you vitamins at any time other than 2 o'clock?" "Nope," he said. "Always at 2. She's very strict about it. Says timing matters for vitamins." He paused. "But I don't have to take them anymore." "Right?" you said. "Right, baby. No more vitamins from Rachel." That night, I called Lisa. Video call, 9 p.m. her time. "Mom, is everything okay? You look tired." "I'm fine, honey. Just missing you. How's the project?" We chatted for 20 minutes about her work, about Tommy's school week, about nothing important. Before we hung up, I said, "Lisa, I need you to do something for me, and I need you to not ask why until I explain everything properly." Her smile faded. "Mom, you're scaring me." "I need you to request an emergency leave. Family situation. Come home this weekend if you can." "Is Tommy okay? Is it medical?" "Tommy is fine. He's safe. But I need you home, and I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She stared at me through the screen for a long moment.
As the sun set on that distant
Then
horizon,
she nodded.
I knew my life
"I'll
would
request
never
it
be
tomorrow.
the same. It was
I
a
can
moment
probably
of
get a
pure,
flight by Saturday.
unadulterated clarity.
Don't tell Marcus you're coming." "Mom, please, Lisa. Trust me." She swallowed hard. Okay. Friday came. According to the message thread I'd been monitoring, Rachel was coming over at 1. Marcus had another pharmacy favor for me, this time asking me to drive across town to pick up a package. "Of course," I'd said. But this time, I called the police first. "I need to report child endangerment," I told the dispatcher. "I have evidence that my grandson's babysitter has been giving him unprescribed sedatives, and I have reason to believe it's happening right now." I gave them the address, told them I had photographic evidence and video footage, and that I was requesting they send someone immediately. Then I did my little disappearing act again, parked 2 blocks away, walked back to Patricia's shed. At 1:15, I watched through the window as Rachel arrived, watched Marcus let her in, watched them head upstairs. At 1:30, 2 police cars pulled up, quiet, no sirens. At 1:31, I walked out of Patricia's yard, met the officers at the front door, and let them in with my key. "They're upstairs," I said quietly. "Bedroom at the end of the hall. My grandson is at school, safe. I have evidence of them drugging him to facilitate their affair." The officers looked at each other. The older one nodded at me. "Ma'am, please wait here." I waited in the living room while they went upstairs. I heard Marcus's voice, confused at first, then angry. Rachel's shocked cry. The officers' calm, firm instructions. They brought them downstairs separately. Marcus in his t-shirt and jeans, face bright red. Rachel in her dress, crying. Marcus saw me standing there and his face went white. "Eleanor, don't," I said. The older officer turned to me. "Ma'am, you said you have evidence?" I showed them everything. The unlabeled pill bottle, the photos of messages, Patricia's verification that the pills were sedatives, the nanny cam footage from Wednesday showing Rachel putting the bottle on the counter and her and Marcus's subsequent activities. Rachel broke first. "I didn't know it was illegal." Marcus said they were just vitamins, that Eleanor was being paranoid about Tommy's health, that we were helping. "Shut up, Rachel," Marcus snapped. "Did you give the child these pills?" the officer asked her. She looked at Marcus, then at the officer, then burst into tears. "He said it was safe. He said his wife knew, that everyone knew, that it was just to help Tommy relax after school." "That's enough," the officer said. He turned to Marcus. "Sir, did you provide these pills to be administered to your son?" Marcus said nothing. He was staring at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "He texted about it," I said quietly. "I have screenshots. They discussed the timing, the dosage, how it gave them almost 2 hours together." The officer looked grim. "Sir, you're under arrest for child endangerment and reckless endangerment." "Ma'am," he nodded to Rachel, "you're under arrest as well." They read them their rights, put them in separate cars. Before they took Marcus away, he looked at me through the police car window. I don't know what he expected to see. Anger? Triumph? I felt nothing but tired. Patricia came over as the police cars drove away. She put her arm around my shoulders. "You did the right thing, Eleanor." "I know," I said, but it didn't feel right. It felt terrible. I picked Tommy up from school like normal, made him a snack, helped with his homework, put on a movie. He asked where his dad was. "Your dad had to go out for a while," I said. "He might be gone for a few days. Is Rachel still coming?" "No, sweetheart. Rachel isn't going to babysit anymore." "Okay." He shrugged, already absorbed in his movie. Saturday morning, Lisa walked through the door at 8 a.m. I'd been up all night, sitting in the living room, rehearsing what to say, but when I saw her face exhausted from the red-eye flight, confused, worried, I just started crying. "Mom?" She dropped her suitcase and ran to me. "Mom, what happened? Where's Marcus? Where's Tommy?" "Tommy's fine. He's asleep upstairs. We need to talk." I told her everything, start to finish. She sat perfectly still through the whole thing, hands folded in her lap, face blank. When I finished, she said, "Show me the messages." I did. She read every single one. It took 20 minutes. Then she set the iPad down very carefully, stood up, walked to the bathroom, and I heard her throw up. When she came out, her face was red but dry. "Where is he now?" "Jail. He was arraigned yesterday. The lawyer said he'd probably make bail on Monday." "And her?" "Same." Lisa nodded slowly. "Okay, Lisa, I'm so sorry." "Don't." She held up her hand. "Don't apologize. You protected my son. You did exactly what you should have done." Her voice cracked. "I should have been here. I should have known." "You couldn't have known." "I should have." She wiped her eyes. "How long?" "Based on the messages, maybe 4 months before you left. They were already involved before Germany." She laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. I thought he was being so supportive about the assignment, practically pushed me to take it. She looked at me. He wanted me gone. "Yes. Does he love her?" I thought about those messages, the casual cruelty, the jokes about Tommy, the calculations about money and timing. "I don't think Marcus loves anyone but Marcus." She nodded like she'd expected that answer. Tommy woke up around 9. When he saw his mom, he screamed with joy and launched himself at her. She caught him, buried her face in his hair, and held on. Over his head, she mouthed to me, "Thank you." The legal aftermath took months. Marcus tried to claim the pills were just vitamins, that I'd overreacted, that Rachel was a confused kid who didn't know better. But the pharmacological evidence was clear. The text messages were clear. The nanny cam footage was very, very clear. He pled down to reckless endangerment and adultery, got 18 months, suspended sentence, supervised visitation with Tommy only, lost his security clearance for his job, which meant he lost his job. Rachel took a plea deal. Community service, probation, her name on a registry that meant she'd never work with children again. Lisa filed for divorce immediately. She got everything. The house, primary custody, child support that would ensure Tommy's future was secure. She ended up turning down the Germany extension and finding a local position. "I miss too much already," she told me. "I'm not missing anymore." Tommy went to therapy. Turned out the pills had been giving him nightmares he hadn't told anyone about, and anxiety around sleep. But kids are resilient. With help, he got better. He asks about his dad sometimes. Lisa's honest with him, age-appropriately. Daddy made some very bad choices, and he has to deal with the consequences. But we still love him, and he still loves you. I don't know if that last part is true, but it's what Tommy needs to hear. As for me, I stayed with them for another year, eventually moved into a condo nearby. I see Tommy 3 times a week, pick him up from school on Wednesdays. He's 10 now. Happy, healthy, doing great. He doesn't remember much about that time. Lisa made sure of it, protected him from the worst of the details. He knows his parents divorced because his dad wasn't being a good partner and that Rachel made bad choices. That's enough. Sometimes I think about that moment in the living room when Tommy handed me that unlabeled bottle. How easy it would have been to brush it off, to believe Marcus's inevitable explanation, to not want to make waves. That's what they counted on. That I'd be the nice grandmother, The one who didn't question, who trusted the authority of the father, who didn't want to cause problems. But I was a teacher for 40 years. I knew what kids looked like when something was wrong. I knew how to pay attention. And I knew that protecting a child means doing the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, the thing that breaks your heart and your family and your daughter's marriage. But you do it anyway, because that's what love is. Not the easy parts, not the comfortable illusions, but the moment when you choose the child's safety over everything else, even when it costs you everything. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Tommy's safe. That's all that matters. Everything else, we rebuilt.